I'm Christopher Warnock of Renaissance Astrology, and today I want to talk about how to make talismans more effective, or basically how to make more effective use of the astrological talismans that you may have. Um, so, it's interesting because we very much focus on talismans as being pendants, and so with a pendant, the obvious thing for people is that you wear it. And so I get a lot of people telling me, okay, do I have to wear it 100% of the time? Do I have to wear it in the shower? Do I have to wear it when I'm having sex? If I take it off, is that a problem? I think that springs very much from the fact that it's a pendant, and obviously you pendants to wear. So, for example, when I have talismans that are mirrors, people say, well, what do I do with it? The reality is that anything can essentially be made as a talisman. So, for example, if we think of just in the fictional tradition, we think of Excalibur, the sword. That was a magical sword. We think of magic mirrors that I've already talked about. In the Renaissance, they made gardens astrologically, and in Picatrix, the city of Adositine is described as being made through astrological magic, the entire city. It's a little odd to think of like, well, for example, if I made a talisman as a shovel, would I have to go out shoveling with it for it to work? I think that's that the pendant thing. I think a certain amount of that is coming from this natural magic idea, and that for example, that the Agrippa talks in 3 books of occult philosophy about 3 worlds, about the natural world, the material world, the celestial world, and the divine world. And each of these that I see as a way of sort of interfacing with the underlying spiritual reality. So if we're going to do natural magic, then we go get things that have certain natural magical properties. So for example, gemstones are a good example. I mean, you don't need to do anything to it. A particular gemstone will have particular qualities no matter what, just because it's a gemstone. Celestial magic, that's what we deal with, sort of intermediate level, and that really focuses on astrological timing and getting the timing right and dealing with astrological spirits. Divine magic would be sort of Kabbalistic things, divine names, archangelic magic, things like that. So, it's interesting to me. I think that you've got to wear it all the time. You got to wear it up against your skin, blah, blah, blah. That seems to me to be coming from a natural magic perspective. I think it also comes from this sort of concept that the talisman's like a battery. And so it's sort of inert, and then you charge it up with this power, and then you need to have it near you because it's radiating power. And if you don't have it around you, it's sort of the field isn't there, things like that. So I think we're getting sort of a more of a field or an energy kind of quality to it as well as that sort of natural magic quality. So my problem with that is that I don't see, at least in the practice that I'm doing, which is much more of a devotional practice, it really doesn't strike me that way as it's absolutely necessary to wear it 100% of the time. It's certainly not next to your skin or, when you're taking a shower or whatever. It doesn't hurt. But for me, the focus of the astrological talismans has been very much on the fact that the astrological talisman provides a very quick communication with the spirit. That when the talisman was made, the spirit was sort of, asked to come inhabit this talisman, and that you've then got this very easy way of communicating with them. It's almost like having their cell phone number, or a window into their sphere. And so for me, if you want to increase the power of your talisman, the best way to do that would be to do the personal consecration when you get the talisman. And what that's doing is all of Renaissance astrology talismans, we consecrate them when they're made. That's extremely important. You need to call the spirit into the talisman at the time of creation, at that elected time. But then when someone gets a talisman, then they want to do a personal consecration. And what that's doing is not so much charging the talisman as bringing the energy to you. Really, if I were to be pushed on that, what I would say we're doing is you're introducing yourself to the spirit of that talisman, and you're beginning the positive relationship with that spirit. And that really is the core to me of this devotional practice that I do, which is these are not disembodied sort of electrical charged batteries, but what we're dealing with are living beings, these spirits, these are angels of the various celestial factors, and you're building up a relationship with that angel or that spirit And that can bring all sorts of positive effects, just from having that relationship. And the best way to keep that relationship going is to do the consecration, and also just to be respectful of the talisman, and in your dealings with the spirit. So, for example, the talisman, I say treat it like you would an expensive watch that you got from a gift from your rich uncle or something. You wouldn't throw it on the ground. You wouldn't let your dog chew on it. You keep it well maintained, keep it in a safe place. But at the same time, I don't think you have to be worried about it blowing up like a grenade if you make a mistake. This is not demonic magic. We're dealing with spirits that are very benefic. And again, it's sort of like a saint. I mean, you wouldn't have to worry about, oh, I did the sequence of my prayer wrong, so Saint Joseph's going to go ahead and curse me. I think that's usually not what we think of in terms of with a saint, and that's not the kind of spirit that I want to be dealing with or that I deal with in my devotional practice. So while these are made as pendants in many cases, again, my view is that you can wear it, or you don't have to wear it next to your skin. You could carry it. I remember when I had an office job for a while, I was carrying a Mercury talisman just in my pocket. You can carry it with you. But even then, you don't even have to carry it with you. I mean, you could keep it in the place where you want the effect to manifest. Or just, as you can see, if you look around my office here, you can see I've got all sorts of altars. You just keep it on an altar in its own special box. What I like to do is have a sort of a separate space for it. And again, you can see in the altar space here, there are lots of these postcard-sized images up. Usually make a small sort of space for each talisman, so it's got its own little space. That's, to me, really the key word is respect, and then doing the frequent invocations. Now, this is just my own personal practice, and there are other people who have other ways of doing talismans. I certainly wouldn't want to say it's universal for all practices. But certainly for Renaissance astrology talismans, again, you don't have to wear it all the time. You don't have to wear it in the shower. Again, I would treat it like my glasses or a watch. I'm going to take those off for a lot of, when I'm sleeping or whatever. I'll do the same thing with the talisman. And so the best thing you can do is to treat the talisman respectfully, to have a respectful relationship with that spirit, and then to do the best you can to build up that positive relationship with the spirit of the talisman. So I hope that's useful. We got a lot of questions about this, and I just want to describe what my practice is without trying to say that this is universal or that applies to all types of talismans, or even all types of astrological talismans.